Hi everyone and welcome back to the Couch Buddies, and tonight we're going full shell shock.
We're going to fit everything in the right place.
And we're going full Kamehameha! So, DJ, we're back.
Hello.
And we're getting right into it tonight, right? We're on fire.
Yes,
We
on
are
fire.
truly
Let's
on
go,
fire.
let's go.
Let's go,
Let's
go,
go talk
go,
about
go.
old and moldy games. Go,
With
go,
rainbows in the back.
go. Yes,
See?
Rainbow Islands. What a classic. What a
Oh,
wonderful
yeah.
classic that
And
we
what do
already
rainbows
talked about.
remind you of? My Little Pony.
Uh,
I had to remind people. I seriously had to.
Right. There was actually a rainbow. There was actually a rainbow in the title song of the
Seriously?
cartoons. Yes,
See?
there was. They were
See?
jumping actually across a rainbow. I
See?
remember that very
Wow.
clearly. Yeah, I mean cartoons, man, cartoons.
Okay,
What can you
so
say?
games. Let's erase that from our minds and talk about games.
Yes,
And what a
Yes.
better way to get this couchisode going than traveling back to 1993 to talk about an arcade game called Dragon Ball Z. Simply Dragon Ball Z. Hey, it's Dragon Ball. It's Goku.
I don't know if I played it on the arcades. To be honest, I think I played it on the Sega Saturn.
The Sega Saturn version was completely different, and it was awesome.
I know.
It's
I
probably
know.
my
It was very
favorite
good.
version of the game. I have to
Yes,
admit.
yes,
It was stupidly easy, but it was a hell of a lot of fun.
Yeah, you
It
just had to
was.
press random buttons and that was it.
Yeah, and stuff would
That
happen.
was it.
It was
Yes,
so cool.
exactly.
It was really cool.
Yes.
But this game was back when we were in full Dragon Ball hype, Dragon Ball Z hype in Portugal. And this came out, this showed up in the arcade salon I used to go to, and this machine had no rest. It simply had no rest. It was a simple combat game. It seriously was, but with the difference that you could actually fly. You didn't need to jump. You could fly. It was so cool. And you had those characters that everyone loved at the time, and it was magical. You could play as Goku, Vegeta, Gohan, Piccolo, Frieza, Ginyu, Rekumi, and Berter, if I recall right. And a lot of the other characters would show up in the background in the scenarios. And you had
Yes.
all those moves that you'd see on the series, very simplified. You didn't have
Especially
a full-blown Kamehameha.
Especially the guy that used to comment the martial arts tournament. He also shows up in the back. I
Oh
remember.
yeah, he does. He does.
And the guy that the little one that was always, I can't remember his name, that was always with Tenshin Han.
Choza.
Yes, exactly. That's his name.
He looked like a little clown. It was so cool.
Yeah, indeed.
It really was so cool. And you know something, people actually don't know if you haven't watched the Portuguese version of Dragon Ball, but Piccolo actually had a strange, and I mean a very strange name in Portugal. He was called, roughly translated to English,
Heart Junior.
Small Heart of Satan. That was his
Satan's
name.
Heart Junior. Yeah.
Yeah, and I actually got an explanation to this a couple of days ago. Someone told me that this happened because we actually imported Dragon Ball from France to Portugal. And they imported it from Japan to France and then dubbed it, and someone made a slight mistake when translating the name. And he ended up as Petit Coeur. That means little heart.
Yeah.
And then we translated from that. But the funny thing about the series here is that they took a lot, and I mean a lot of liberties with the dubbing, especially at the end.
Yeah.
And
That
it was
that all
magical.
that
It was
whole
magical.
thing would warrant a whole episode about it because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it's
It was
it's
magical.
like it was magical, that translation. But again, you know, I guess only Portuguese people would be able to really
Oh,
understand
yeah.
and have the feel for it. So
Oh, yeah.
whoever is there on the comments that watched it in Portuguese knows exactly what we're talking
It's
about.
so cool. And again, if you guys can get your hands on this game and try it, just do. It was really a cool game. It's not an awesome game, but it was cool, and it was very cool at the time to be able to play as Goku. And like DJ said, if you get the chance, it's stupid, but it's an awesome game. Play Dragon Ball Z Legends on the Sega Saturn. It's really that cool. It really is.
Yes, 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 it is. Dragon Ball Z Legends was probably the first
much fun.
Dragon Ball game that I played on the Sega Saturn, and as you said, I mean, it was great fun. I think I even played the
awesome.
French version because I don't think.
No, it was in
the
French.
Fren-
The game was in
yeah,
French.
yeah, yeah. The game was in French, even
Yeah.
in Europe. I mean, there was no English version that I remember seeing. I mean, later on, I did see some. I think I saw some of it.
Yeah, and you picked it up and you said, "Screw it, it's Goku."
Well, it doesn't
Whatever.
matter. I mean, the game was pretty
doesn't.
intuitive. You just like fighting and kicking, you know, other people's, you know, asses and stuff like that. And it was so
Yeah.
simple. So,
It was
I mean,
so
it was
cool.
just for the fun of, as you said, it was during the hype of Dragon Ball in Portugal at
The
that
mega
time.
hype.
So, obviously, everyone wanted to play this game and talk about it.
Indeed.
So, I'm going to bring up another game, another classic, although I can't say it's probably as big as, I mean, it's probably bigger than Dragon Ball, or maybe it's the same thing around. So, to give you a backstory about this, I have a friend that visits me quite often, you know, usually to watch football matches and stuff. And, you know, after that, we always end up watching some, you know, playing some video games. Usually something that allows local multiplayer. I have a computer downstairs on my living room TV, so basically it's just mostly a machine to go to the internet and watch YouTube, but you know, it has some gaming capabilities and has some decent graphics cards, so we can still play some stuff there. However, among others, recently we played Streets of Rage 4, which was a great game for playing in local multiplayer, both of us. But today, and introducing in a very 2004 gameplay recording style that you're about to watch, we're going to talk about Mario Kart 64 from 1996 for Nintendo 64. And this was developed and published by Nintendo. So, you know, I'm going to assume that Mario Kart series is no stranger for, you know, any of the viewers here. But I wouldn't instead that some of you that, you know, some people might be, for example, hardcore PlayStation fans, and they only played Crash Team Racing, for example, which was also a fantastic game, by the way. Nothing to point to that game.
Not the same thing.
But Mario Kart's original release for the SNES really defined this almost as an isolated racing genre, becoming the third most sold game from the SNES in 1992 and the second most sold game for the Nintendo 64. So following its predecessor, Mario Kart 64 grabs the formula that worked quite well on the SNES and shows how powerful the Nintendo 64 was. We once again have 8 selectable characters from Mario Universe, where we will be able to compete against 4 different game modes: Grand Prix, Time Trial, Versus, and Battle. 3 difficulty modes are available to choose from: 50, 100, and 150 cc's, and a total of 16 tracks scattered through 4 different cups, each one of them with uniquely themed Mario World motifs. The playable characters are Mario, Luigi, Princess Peach, Toad, Yoshi, Bowser, Wario, and Donkey Kong. And here we already see a slightly different roster than we saw in Super Mario Kart for the SNES. Although it's not immediately evident, all of these characters are divided into weight classes: lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. It's almost self-explanatory. Lightweights have higher acceleration but lower top speed. Middleweights are the all-rounders, and the heavyweights like Bowser and Donkey Kong will have lower acceleration, higher top speed, and can actually knock other players when they hit. Going quickly through the game modes, I'm personally a fan of Mario Grand Prix. It's in both playing solo and with friends. We choose from one of the cups where we have 4 races, and the objective is to score the highest number of accumulated points between all of those. So if you finish in first, second, third, fourth, you get the number of points, and the objective is to score first or to get to the first place. Time Trial, I was not really much of a fan of it on any game, but this name says it all. It's a 3-lap race on the selected course, and the objective is to register the best time. Versus mode is practically the same as Mario Grand Prix, but you face only players against each other without any AI opponents. Last but not least, a mildly fun game mode called Battle Mode, where all players are put in an arena with 3 balloons attached to their carts, and any hits on it blows up 1 balloon, and this is equivalent to a battle royale from the early 90s, and last man standing wins, and as they usually say, winner winner chicken dinner. Now, making a reference to PUBG. Initially, this game was supposed to be called Super Mario R, where the R comes from rendered to advertise the console's new 3D capabilities. With its development happening at the same time as Super Mario 64 and Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart R actually was the one that had the less resources dedicated to it compared to the other 2 developments. So Nintendo here played the card on giving a lot of importance to Super Mario 64 and Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, which we already know by now that they were absolute classics on both on this console, and they they were phenomenal. The game was quite innovative and introduced, for example, the slipstream mechanic. And this was the first time that it was introduced in a Mario Kart game, where you could take advantage of the wind tunnel created by the kart ahead of you and slingshot out to overtake. It has, however, introduced another mechanic that for me, I don't really like it, which is called rubber banding. And for me, it's probably the downside of this game. Rubber banding is a mechanic that allows difficulty to scale up and down depending on your current situation. For example, it was very common to be playing Mario Kart 64. You are on first place, doing an awesome run, and then you just get overtaken by someone that on the previous lap was on the 8th place. Like, it's really, really weird. And why does this happen, you might ask? Well, it's exactly because of this mechanic, and Nintendo justified it with keeping the game challenging and replayable. Now, whether you like it or dislike this aspect or others about it, Mario Kart 64 definitely has been engraved on our hearts and minds. And if by any chance you never played it, well, you know what you have to do. To me particularly, to the point that 25 years later, I'm still playing this blast and having a blast with my friends. So it's the only downside that I point out to this game, really, is the fact that it doesn't really seem fair. It's not very balanced, I should say. But I do remember when I played this, and I didn't own a Nintendo 64, but I had some friends that did. And I remember when I played this back then, that, there wasn't really much an objective of being competitive. And I think that's what we as children never were that much. I think now as adults, I play this now as an adult, and I look at this game, and I'm always talking to my colleague, and we're always talking about it. They say, man, this is so unfair. We're always getting kicked in the butt. Like you do an absolutely perfect run. You are just, 10 meters away from the finish line, and there's a banana there. Like why? Like, why is there a banana there? Nobody left a banana there. The computer specifically tells other players to leave a banana there just to screw you up, man. It's this rubber banding mechanic is just crazy, but still provides loads of fun. I still play it quite frequently, and I mean, just this week, this friend of mine came home here 3 days in a row just for us to play that. In fact, he's the one playing with me on the gameplay that you guys just watched. So yeah, cheers to Atomic. He's a great guy, great friend, and he's my partner in Mario Kart 64 competitions late in the night.
Great fun game. I still play Mario Kart a lot, but on the Switch recently.
Well, I mean,
it's
wonders
cool.
of emulation, right? RetroArch has excellent emulators. I use Parallel LEI or something like that, 64. Which seems to be the best one to play this kind of games, and others that I already tried out in Nintendo 64. Awesome. I wish I would have an original one, but to be honest, I mean, I wasn't really much of a fan of a lot of Nintendo 64 games. Legend of Zelda was definitely one of them, but doesn't really warrant the purchase of an original system. And I do love playing with my Xbox controller, because I have a thing for Xbox controllers, and I really like them.
Right.
So took a while on this one, so let's move right on to the next one. What do you have for us next?
Well, I'm going to stick to the arcades.
Okay, fine.
It's fair. No, but
It's definitely fair.
Traveling to 1997 to play.
Okay.
I'm betting this isn't a very well-known game to many people, but I actually love this. It was a game called Magical Drop 3. It was really cool. It was like a puzzler game, and imagine Puzzle Bubble, but instead of shooting bubbles up, you would just pull them down and try to pair 3 of the same color together and just clear the screen. This was the basic premise. But
so what? This is like Puzzle Bubble, but with another team? Is that it?
Nah, different. This was cool because you actually pulled the bubbles down, and you had to put 3 of them together to blow everything they were in contact with, horizontally or vertically, of the same color. And by doing this, the more you blew up in each round, if you're playing against another player, and depending on the character you were playing, you would start screwing up his game on his side. And the objective was just to screw his game so much that he would lose, basically. This was the most fun you could have with this game, is against someone. but you could have the survival mode, the typical survival mode that you played till, well, basically you couldn't handle the level. And you had a very peculiar mode. It was like a board game, if I recall right, and you were just like, you had to play small mini games of less than a minute or roughly a minute to be able to move on that board, and the goal was to get to the end, to the Empress. It was just a completely different way to play this game, and this gave you options in an arcade game. It was so cool. And it's a fun game. It's fairly simple. It's a puzzle game. You can have a lot of time on this one till you perfect the gameplay, until you get the hang of it. But it's really cool, and it's a game you can actually easily pick up today. It's available in every platform, still. It's awesome.
I didn't really know this game, to be honest. I mean, looking at it, it looks to me awesome. You know, awfully similar to games like Puzzle Bubble and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, I know
it's an inverted puzzle bubble. Of sorts.
Exactly, because you pull the balloons down, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's
then
not
you throw them back up. So.
Yeah, I get it. But that's the thing. Again, typical. I guess it's a typical type of title that you would see in arcades.
So cool.
Very addictive, and that you could spend
extremely
some time
addictive.
on. That you could spend some time on it. Which actually, you know, which actually leads me to another game that we have to talk about right after, and I think that it's a good time to introduce our air freshener moment before we close down for today. And exactly, and stuff like that. Okay, you guys already know about it. No, not jingling tonight.
Not jingling.
And talking about these types of games that are, you know, puzzle oriented and arcade like games. I'm gonna talk about the game that actually I believe I spoke about this game on the Portuguese episode or the last English Couchies. I have no idea when I talked about this. I remember that I talked about this, and the game I'm going to talk about is Tetris Effect Connected. This is from 2018, originally released for the PS4, but now available for Windows, Xbox, Oculus Quest, and this was developed by Monstar and Freshener Studios and published by Enhanced Games. So, this game actually, this is a Tetris game, and if you want to take it that way, it is what it is. But the thing is, when I installed this, and I always had some curiosity about what's being done new with Tetris, because, you know, Tetris is Tetris, and for more that we like it, and despite that it's a great game that marked entire generations and even had like world championships and stuff like that. The fact is that Tetris is pretty much that. There's not much to it, but these guys, this Japanese studio, they found a way to give it a twist that is so great. This game is available on Game Pass, by the way, and that's how I started playing it. However, it only came available on Game Pass and only came available for Xbox and Windows in 2020, so just last year. Before that, it was only PS4 and PS4 VR, as well as then later for the Oculus Quest or Oculus Rift, I can't remember. But anyways, this explores a phenomenon, and this is actually something that is scientifically worked upon. It explores a phenomenon called Tetris Effect, which describes how human beings, after being exposed to the game Tetris for a long time, start seeing the effects of the game either on other games or non-game events. Like, for example, you go to the supermarket, you see a box, you know, stacked boxes, and you start imagining those as Tetris pieces. Like, you are, like we usually say in joking, like we are getting stuff into the trunk of our car, and we say, I'm gonna play Tetris, because you have to fit all of that in a limited space. And this is exactly that.
You do realize this actually happens in real life, right?
Exactly, but this is the thing. This is actually being explored scientifically, and the first ever recorded reference to this was an article published in 1994 by a guy called Jeffrey Goldsmith in the monthly American magazine called The Wire, where he really explores that on how people get affected at some level, and if you get exposed for longer periods of time. Now, Tetris Effects explores that in a way that critics have said that this game is a fitting love letter to the original Tetris game, and I think that that's a perfect description. The game not only explores the basics of the game, the Tetris, but which makes as many lines as fast as possible, but also integrates it with sound effects and the soundtrack that adapt to each and every stage of the game. So if the speed changes, so does the music, and changing pieces from one place to another or changing the orientation also gives us a pleasant sound effect in line with the music. And this is, for me, this was the first thing that I tried here, that I experienced here. Was it's such an amazing experience. Like, if you play this like late at night with some headphones on, and even says when you start the game that please put your headphones for the best experience, and you just lie on your couch and just relaxing playing Tetris, but with such a great soundtrack and so zen and so, I don't know, it's such a mystical environment. I can't even describe that, but the game is so so amazingly cool. And you listen to this and you think, but you're just talking about Tetris. I know, but this is exactly what this game is. There are several gameplay modes, both in single player and multiplayer. The journey mode in single player, which is kind of like the career mode, let's say, allows us to go through 30 levels of the game with different themes, soundtracks, and sounds, creating a very deep and evolving atmosphere. Additionally, there are other games like Zen, game modes, for example, like Zen, where you can set the number of lines you want to achieve, and while the game goes gradually increasing the difficulty, in this case the speed. There is also multiplayer modes where you can do ranked and unranked matches against other players to enter the competitive scene of this title. So again, they really explored here, like bringing the classic format, for example, of the Tetris World Championship that happened, you know, many decades ago, and I don't know, but I believe that it still does happen, and they brought it to another notch. I think this is an excellent game. There's a reason why it's available on Game Pass. If you really do like Tetris, and like I do, please take a look at this game. If you don't have Game Pass, the game is not absurdly expensive. It's available also on Steam and stuff like that. So, you know, all the major online stores you can buy it. But it's really worth it. It's a great game that no one should miss playing. And I think you guys should really try it, because, I mean, for me, it was an incredible experience for an already 30-something-year-old game that we have on the market. So for me, it's a wonderful suggestion.
You really got me able to play Tetris again.
Man, just try the game. You have Game Pass. Just this is like, I don't know, I think it's like a couple gigabytes of installation, so it's not going to take that long. Just put it on your Xbox or whatever you have, and it's a great experience, and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about the music and the sound and the immersion of this title. But anyways, I guess that's time for us to close down, right?
Yeah, but before that, we'll have to tell something to everyone. That is, first,
the usual stuff.
Yeah, but let's take this the whole way differently.
The other way around. Yeah,
the other way. Yeah, what did I say? So just subscribe to the channel, hit the little bell button so you get notified when we get a new video, so you know when you can get a new trauma every week.
Bing, bing, bing.
And don't forget to leave a like. You know, that little hand like.
Just guys, leave us a like so that the YouTube algorithm does something for us and keeps suggesting our videos. The bell icon also keeps you notified about whenever we launch new videos every week. You already know, Wednesday for our English episodes or couchisodes, and Fridays for our Portuguese ones. So guys, thank you very much for being with us. We hope we'll be able to see you next week. You already know what to do. Just leave some comments over there if you played some of these games. Talk to us a little bit about it. There has been some really interesting discussions going on in the comments lately. And there's really some of you providing some really nice inputs about games that we haven't played before, or we have missed some details about it. That's all normal. I mean, in a limited space of time, we can't really do as much as we would like in terms of providing you details about it. But
we will definitely know everything.
Exactly, but we will gladly continue with you guys on the comments, and the more we learn, the better we can bring you this content and keep being here for you guys every week. So again, guys, as always, thank you very much for watching, and game on.
Have a great week, everyone, and game on.